Get your favorite health tips right here on U24. Maintain your kidney by drinking 8 to 10 glasses of water each day. This can be in form of soup, tea, water, cooked grains and boiled vegetables.
My name is Erica Murunchi and welcome to Be Inspired by Erica. So today I want to talk about personal hygiene. Personal hygiene is not just a habit, it is a way of life. By maintaining personal hygiene, you will reduce stress, improve on your focus, show respect for yourself and others around you, to the people around you. Take care of your space and your life. Keep your room tidy, wash your hands, cut your fingernails, comb your hair, brush your teeth, and many others. Take care of your space and your life. Brush your teeth, make your bed, bathe, cut your fingernails, comb your hair, and many others. Make cleanliness a habit. Personal hygiene should be a priority. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Stay blessed. Much love. Thanks for watching.
You quarters and you roll it.
Youth, elderly, and persons with disabilities. It's time to choose our leaders. Let's show up and participate in the special interest group elections. Starting June through August this year. Your vote, your voice. My vote, my voice. This message is brought to you by the Uganda Electoral Commission.
Don't miss on U24.
Entrepreneurs Hub, giving you a deep and unique insight into agribusiness, services, ICT and innovation, industrialization and so much more. Entrepreneurs Hub, growing your small, medium and large business entity. With yours truly, Sandra Kahunde.
Hi, my name is Doreen Tuhidire, coming to you from Be Money Wiser, and we're going to be bringing to you the hashtag 100 Ways to Be Money Wiser by Mrs. T. Tilda Nabandra. We're going to be running this hashtag 100 Ways to Be Money Wiser on U24 television. Don't miss out.
U24.
Thank you for listening to me. Have a blessed week ahead and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. They all come in the names of Erica Murunji. God bless you. Much love.
Good evening. Welcome. It's yet another evening to talk Checkpoint, and we discuss everything to do with law. We simplify law for you to be able to understand it in the most basic terms, such that you don't find yourself on the wrong, but you always find yourself on the right side of the law. That's what we are for. Checkpoint here on U24 television, your national youth development and education channel. My name is Ivan Tumkonde, and I want to welcome you to this very special edition of the Checkpoint. We are talking administration of justice in Uganda. A right to a fair hearing. Certainly a topic that you're so much interested in. And definitely to discuss it, I'm with my learned friends, as usual. Hopefully they'll be able to help us to understand the law in the most basic terms, not to speak the language we want to understand that only the judges can understand. And to start from my far left, very well put in a black jacket, looking very smart, Noahereza. Welcome to the checkpoint. Kindly say hello.
Thank you so much, Ivan. I'm pleased to be here. And once again, yes, my name is Noahereza Marvin, and I can't wait to have this wonderful discussion.
Thank you. Right next to Noahereza, only lady on set, well, more than ready to represent our mothers, sisters, daughters. Biko, welcome to the checkpoint.
Thank you. My name is Biku Banda. I'm happy to be here and have this conversation. Yes.
Right next to me, very smartly, gently dressed. I don't want to introduce you. I'll give you the opportunity to break the ground and introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you so much, Ivan. My name is Buyinza Solomon, and I'm very glad to be here. I really can't wait to delve into this interesting conversation.
As your name says, Buyinza, I want to give you the Buyinza to be able to introduce us to this topic tonight. A right to a fair hearing, administration of justice in Uganda. What are we talking about?
Yes, thank you so much, Ivan, for that question. This evening, we are going to be looking at the right to a fair hearing, as you rightly said, and generally how it has been handled when it comes to the administration of justice in Uganda. So we are going to be delving into what constitutes the right to a fair hearing. Yes, we are going to be looking at what what the legal basis for this right is.
Yes.
Where does it stem from when it comes to the law? Yes, and trying to help people out there to understand it in the most basic manner. Yes, and certainly we'll also be talking about the contemporary times in Uganda, how the right to a fair hearing is being approached in the courts of law when it comes to law enforcement agents. Yes, how is it being handled? Then we'll also be looking at the question of mob justice. Yes, the question of mob justice and why it is an issue today.
Sure.
Yes, why it is a prevailing issue today that undermines this right to a fair hearing. Yes.
Yeah.
Then I think conclusively we'll also be talking about what recommendations, yes, what policy recommendations we can make to see that the right to a fair hearing is being adhered to, it's being respected by these law enforcement agencies, also the courts of law, and generally the public. Yes, yes.
Thank you so much, Buyinza. Noahereza, let's start from Stone Age. Man is able to choose what time to wake up, what kind of work to do, how to live with the neighbors, and basically we choose to sort ourselves if we have a disagreement. It's between the two of us. If I choose to use my spear to punish you for what you have done, we do it and it ends there and then. Then maybe community comes in to help sort issues here and there. To an ordinary person, when we talk justice administration in Uganda, what are we talking about?
Thank you for that. So, interestingly, when we talk about justice and administration of justice, first of all, an ordinary Ugandan only probably or a few times has interfaced with the court system or courts of law. But it's bigger than that in most cases. When you find, for example, the courts of law in Uganda that we have, you'll find, for example, the magistrate courts. Before I start with there are local council courts. And then you have magistrate courts, then you have...
You need to hit hard on that. People don't actually understand that there are LC courts.
Yes, yeah. So we have what we call LC courts. LC courts are created under the Local Council Courts Act. Yeah, and it's basically a law that creates for local councils. But these courts are, they do not, in layman's terms, they do not, for example, use this very complicated English, very complicated procedures.
Yeah.
Things are very simple. You can probably even just come under a tree and matters are settled that easily. Yeah, and people go back home. Now, in many of the communities that we live in, we have local council courts existing together with sort of traditional courts, those ones of traditional leaders, clan leaders, that sort of setting. And usually these two are for a normal layman Ugandan. They are their first approach when they want justice. Of course, if they have chosen not to go by way of mob justice.
Sure.
Yes. So they are usually the first avenue for justice. And in this court, you simply come and tell, whoever is presiding what someone has done to you and the remedy that you want. And the other person also come and talk about what they think should have happened and that sort of thing. So it's a very simple system of administration of justice.
So what kind of cases are handled at the LC level?
Yeah, so usually at this level you'll find cases maybe to do with children, family. You'll not find cases to do with criminal crimes. You'll not find those ones there. But cases to do with the simple things like family, simple assault, maybe those small cases are the ones that you'll find in these courts. Yeah. So when you now go to magistrate courts, these ones are also quite many. So these ones are where you will now graduate from these simple cases to now handling. They can now handle some criminal cases. Yeah, but not. If I would put it in a layman's term, not the big cases. For example, murder, rape. They can't handle those ones, but they can also handle simple assault. They can handle theft. The simple cases. The magistrate courts, and they're also a bit accessible because you'll find one perhaps in every town council or every district. So for someone who rides their bicycle from home, they can access these courts.
Okay.
Yeah. Then from there you'll go to the High Court. Now in Uganda we only have one High Court. It just has maybe divisions and circuits, or in a simpler way, where this High Court sits. So for example, you'll find a High Court can sit at Mbale, it can sit at Kampala, it can sit in Barara, etc. Now the High Court also graduates from these simple cases now to handle big cases: murder, rape, defilement. Yeah, that is the High Court for you. And in the High Court, so to say, there's serious business there. So most of the cases that are in the High Court, you'll have to be represented by a lawyer, because these are big cases, ideally. And this also touches on the right to a fair hearing that we shall get into later. Then from the High Court, you go to Court of Appeal. So if you're not satisfied with your decision from the High Court, you're saying perhaps it should have gone another way, you can take your appeal or your grievance to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal will decide and to make a decision also. Usually also follows almost the same procedure as the High Court and the Magistrate Courts. From Court of Appeal to the highest court in the land, which is the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court is a very interesting court because, first of all, it rarely sits. So the cases that go there are the really big cases. Yeah, and as we shall discuss, we shall get more into some of those cases and their implications. So that is justice, how the ladders of justice in Uganda. Of course, we have players in the justice system. We have police. We have, from the ground starting, before I go to police, we have perhaps our local leaders there. Then we have police. From police, you can have lawyers, you have judges, etc. So, yeah, that is a simple wrap-up of our justice system and how it's administered in Uganda.
So where do the courts, like commercial courts, the mediation courts, where do they fall?
Okay, so the commercial court is at the stage of the High Court. So like I said, we have the High Court let me call it specialized. Yeah. So you have the criminal division, you have the commercial division, you have the international crimes division, anti-corruption, family, land, like that. So you find that these divisions, what they majorly handle is maybe commercial, criminal, like that. Now, the military courts, of course, previously, all we know that now we have the decision of the Supreme Court that came out in January. And we also have an amendment, I think it's last month, that amended there's an act amended, it has skipped me. But so it creates now, now, of course, now we have court-martial with a very interesting jurisdiction, which in my personal view, they should not be having, because they are not seized with. Okay, the Constitution does not give them
good
these
thing
powers.
You said your personal view, not
yes,
not the legal view.
My personal view, they are not. They do not have the authority under the Constitution to administer justice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Biko, a right to a fair hearing. 3 keywords: right, fair, and then hearing. For the person who is watching, is it actually even a right? Do I have a right to a fair hearing? But before we go to even whether you have that right or not, for someone to be able to understand it in basic terms.
Okay, a right to fair hearing. Definitely it's a right, and it's a right that everyone has. So simply put, a right to fair hearing is the right to be treated equally before any judicial or tribunal or a process of hearing. So it could be an administrative body, it could be courts, it could be a tribunal, it could be a disciplinary committee. So it's more or less, we've had your side, let's hear the other one's side as well.
Okay.
So in the layman's term, that's what a right to fair hearing is. But clothed in the legality under Article 28 of the Constitution provides for the right to fair hearing, which involves a couple of rights there. And one is for anyone who is being tried for a criminal matter, and for anyone whose civil rights are being determined. Definitely, they have the right to be heard speedily. They have the right for a public hearing, and they also have the right to be tried before a tribunal that is provided for by the law, or a court of judicature that is provided under the law. And so thereunder, there are a couple of rights that are attached to the right of fair hearing. One is for someone who is charged with a criminal offense, they're supposed to be informed immediately the nature of the offense that they're charged of. Secondly, they're also supposed to be given ample time to prepare for their defense. So you've been charged of this and this and this. You're supposed to explain that to someone. And then you're supposed to also give them time to prepare for their defense if you're calling them to court, or you're calling them to defend themselves. You're also supposed to give them legal representation, that is for matters that the punishment is death or imprisonment for life. However, for smaller matters, persons are supposed to be informed that you have a right to legal representation. So often that means legal representation is in form of a lawyer or personal counsel to come and represent you before courts and before people. There are also a couple of rights therein. The right to call witnesses. There are people who saw the event, so the right to call a witness and to examine them in court. So there is also a right to not be charged of an offense that is not provided for in the law, or at that time it didn't amount to an offense in the law. So all those are things that are clothed in the right to fair hearing. And so fair hearing is broad legal in Uganda. It's enshrined under Article 28 in Uganda, but also we can see it overlap under Article 42, where administrative bodies are supposed to treat people fairly in their decision. One thing we need to highlight is that it's also a non-derogable right. That means the right to fair hearing cannot be taken away from someone. Whether in war or whatever circumstance that there is, the right to fair hearing can never be taken from anyone. So it's definitely a right that everyone has, and it cannot be taken under the Constitution. We can also speak of the right to fair hearing as a preemptory norm in international law, in the sense that it's a custom or a principle in international law that has been accepted by all states, and it cannot be taken away or it cannot be derogated from. And that's why it's enshrined in our Constitution in the way it is. Okay,
good. You know, she talks very well, and you think it's basically a bed of roses. That's what is going to happen when you're to face justice. And suddenly, if it was the case, even the accused, I think, would really leave courts satisfied to say, okay, I think you should take me to prison, I accept. But it's definitely almost the opposite. What is the status of what she has just talked about, the right to a fair hearing in Uganda today?
Yes, thank you so much, Ivan, for that question. Maybe before I get to your question, I want to thank her because she really did a wonderful job in as far as breaking down what the right to a fair hearing is. Yes, she explained it very, very well, and that's what it is. Yeah. This being a national television, I would love to also take this opportunity to just add on to what she has said, but to communicate now to the audience that may not know the language we are speaking right now, and I want to just use Luganda. Yes. Njagala okutegeeza omuntu ali eyo nti ddembe lyo okubanga owulirwa mu bwenkanya mu maaso ga kooti etayina kyekubira, etaliiko kyekubira. Yes. That's what we are talking about. That's the right to a fair hearing. Okubanga owulirwa mu maaso ga kooti mu bwenkanya ate nga kooti eyo teyina kyekubira, ate okuwulirwa mu bunnambiro expeditiously. Yes. That's what the right to a fair hearing is. And there are very pertinent things when it comes to the right to a fair hearing, and some of those things you already outlined, but I would just love to emphasize things like the impartiality of court and the independence of court, the judicial officers. That is a very, very pertinent component when we talk about the right to a fair hearing. It is an omnibus of various components that constitute the right to a fair hearing. Yes? And so without that impartiality, without that independence, Omuganda kyeyandiyise okubanga, I want to put it in the right way. But okubanga kwegamba court teyina kyekubira, ludda kweyekubira, that is what impartiality means. So it's very important. You cannot talk about the right to a fair hearing and you do not talk about impartiality and the independence of court. It's very, very pertinent.
The reality of that is what we want to get to.
Yeah, now answering your question, the reality of that, I would say that it is something that is a work in progress. Yes, we cannot say that we are there yet, but we continue to strive, yes, to be in a better place. starting with the judiciary, we have seen a number of cases where courts are putting in efforts to ensure that that right to a fair hearing is adhered to. Yes? And the most recent decision of the Supreme Court, which we'll later on be getting deeper into, the case of Attorney General versus Honorable Kabazil Gruka. Yes? That is a very important decision that fundamentally reaffirmed, yes, the importance of respecting the right to a fair hearing. Yes. So by the time the Supreme Court can take a step and declare that actually these court martials, yes, were not impartial and were not independent enough, let me not even use the word enough, but they are not impartial, independent, so as to be rendered as courts that can hear matters and adhere to that right to a fair hearing. Then you actually get to notice that there is a bold step in the judiciary, yes, where courts are trying to ensure that the right to a fair hearing is respected and adhered to. Yeah. So that's the side of the judiciary. But like we said from the beginning, the administration of justice has a number of key players. Yes, it has a number of key players, beginning with the local leaders, as my brother said, the police, yes, going to the lawyers, the judicial officers. All of those are important in this process of administration of justice. Yeah. So we have on one hand the court trying its level best, and I would love to think that even other key players are trying at their best to see that the right to a fair hearing is adhered to. But there are still gaps, yes, which I think really need to be addressed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Noahereza, you see, he used Luganda to make it a bit more basic for someone to understand. And my question too, I will start with a commonly said thing in Luganda, nti ataina sente tasobola kusinga musango mu Uganda. And you'll find that it's an apocryphal, and most Ugandans believe so, that if you don't have money in the first place, don't dare waste your time going to the courts. But also the time that you have to spend in court, for example. I've seen people that started having cases when we were still young until today. They are in courts over those cases, most especially when it comes to land cases, but also cases that have to do with business. Here someone has been in court for 20 years. Where do we qualify it as a fair hearing? And what brings about Ugandans reaching an extent where they believe that actually if you don't, one, have power, that someone is going to be able to influence the decisions of courts, or if you don't have money, that you're going to buy the decisions of the court, you're not going to win a case?
Thank you so much for that question. It's a very interesting question because it touches on Uganda's current state of justice. Now, it is right that when we do have cases, or when there are cases in court, they will spend a very long period of time, 20, 30, 50. Some people will even pass on before they get any remedies. I must emphasize that Uganda's legal system or justice system is highly monetized. Before you even go to the justice system, the legal system is highly monetized. From legal education to, for example, from when you start law school to when you graduate to go to the law development center, and then, so that is a very monetized system. So you'll find that when a lawyer finally accepts to take on your case, they're not taking it on for little money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that is a problem because not many people in this country can afford some of those rates. However, my personal view is that the law is a social construct. It was created for people, by people. So the same way it is a social construct, it's supposed to help people to change their ways of life, to change how they live, to give them remedies. Now, the problem, as I first stated, from the legal system, it means that even lawyers themselves have a role to play. Yeah. Now we have such a thing as pro bono, meaning taking on cases for free, or you literally work for free, just help someone. That is one way. However, lawyers can also choose to be more invested in ensuring that people access justice. This is particularly important because even the people that you want to bill these very high prices, at the end of the day, they also constitute they are part of this economy. Yeah, and just the same way they do have that money to give to pay you today, the next day they may not have the money to pay you. You get, because I mean we know the economy we live in. One day you have, the next day you don't. And as such, lawyers have a higher role. They have a bigger role than cashing in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Recently, I think it was last year or this year, Malema Vilizi delivered a paper at Makerere University School of Law, and he was basically explaining that lawyers have divorced themselves from society, from the places they live in, from the people they interact with, purposely because they are charging very exorbitant fees for these cases, and also because they're not invested in using law to change the standard of living of people. Yet this, in my view, is among the critical reasons why law exists. In my view, law was not brought to cash in. Law was brought to regulate how people live and to provide solutions for people.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. When we go to the judicial system, now we're dealing with judges and the court system. Now, the court system is also highly monetized. Yeah. Starting off with, for example, the money to file most of these things, these applications and these cases, it takes money. And then also, if you looked at the way, of course, right now we have had more judges and justices appointed to these courts, but previously we didn't have as many judges and justices. So that was also lacking. So you'd find someone has to take on so many cases, but this is only one judge. It's also a human being. He equally has to rest. Yeah. And also, people have resolved that what Ugandans have, as they have said, some of them fear to go to court because to take a lot of money and time. However, they have also resolved, some of them have also resolved that this is the only solution they can get. Because they do not have, I mentioned local council courts and traditional courts, but I mean, these are courts that do not have as much power as the formal court system. So, in as much as people, yes, admit they're expensive, but they still have no alternative but to go to those places. So many people are packed there, all seeking for a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time you lay out when all these cases will be heard, honestly, it's going to take a while. Yeah. Now, it's important to note that the court system in Africa came as a result of colonialism. We have not always had courts. We have solved our matters peacefully through our traditional leaders, through our family heads, and through our clan leaders. And in my view, this is where we need to go back to.
Is that possible?
In my view, it is.
Wow.
If people resorted to risk
in modern day village where we are now being almost governed by international law, if you're to do with business, you don't actually just do business by following only the Ugandan law, I also have to follow international law. So if you're talking about going back to the traditional way of doing things, what is the possibility of that?
Yeah, thank you for that. But we can use the traditional for some cases. For example, family, children. I don't know why some of these cases, honestly, we can solve them through that angle. Then also some of these other cases that touch commercial agreements, insurance, employment, etc. We have such a thing as alternative dispute resolution that has come, and we should embrace it. We should embrace mechanisms such as mediation, negotiation, arbitration, and move away from the formal court system, because we know its problems, and trust me, they are not about to be solved. So we should find radical solutions through exploring these other ways of resolving our disputes, but that are also binding on us. So yes, we still have a very monetized system of administration of justice, but as we shall later discover, we have some solutions, and I've mentioned some.
Great. We'll be adding up to those solutions. I want to remind you that we're streaming live on YouTube, so kindly get onto the U24 television YouTube channel, get the link, share with your friends that are not live on TV, and make sure they are able to catch up the show. They don't miss a thing. But you can also send in your comments at our X platform. What is your view in as far as administration of justice, a right to a fair hearing here in Uganda is concerned? He talks about us being able to move away from the modern courts, or maybe adjusting to make sure that we strike a balance. And that brings me to many other systems, but how do we move to the reality of who we are and the fact that we're different societies, and the way we handle things are definitely different, and we stop the copying and pasting. I want us to understand really on the part of fairness and it being a right. For example, when we talk about the fact that if you go to court, it's going to be an issue of your facts and then evidence. It's going to be evidence-based. But then he talks so much about the monetization of the system. And for a person who doesn't really have enough resources, and I'm looking at an instance where, for example, you're on the road and there is a traffic officer who gives you a ticket that is really unfair, but he's the traffic officer. And probably the process you have to go through for you to be able to have the ticket reversed is very, very expensive, the time consuming, but also sometimes you'll find that it's just your word against his. So it becomes a bit very, very difficult. But also in cases, for example, where you find someone has a case and then the person who is putting for them together the statement is corrupted. Some people actually don't understand the reason they are making a statement. At most times, they ask you questions and all you're doing is responding, not knowing that actually you're making a file that they are going to be using in court. And at most times, actually, that's why issues come about. That even if actually you're on the right side, but I can use the law by making sure that I do whatever the law necessitates, and I'm going to win the case. So in that incident where I've basically used the law to my advantage, and I've done basically all that you've talked about, that the law requires for it to look like a fair hearing, is it still fair?
Okay, loaded question there, but let me start from where you start from, and also hinting on something that he mentioned, him talking about us going back to the way that we do things. And of course, you did rightly mention the global village using international law to trade and all these things. And so how plausible or how possible that is. And the one thing I want to highlight there is that for every people and for every kind of people or society, something informs their laws. And he did mention colonialism informing our laws. That was our history. That's the perspective that our systems has tended to take.
Mm-hmm.
However, even for the people here before colonialism, justice was something. They had a sense of justice. They had a sense of what fairness is. We were doing a research on an aspect in criminal law called assessors, and we were looking at their importance in the criminal justice system. However, an example was given from one of the tribes in Uganda. The role of the assessors was to interpret local customs to colonial judges at that time. And local customs at that time were, for example, if someone was caught doing witchcraft, they were actually supposed to be killed. Now, that was a sense of justice to people here in Uganda. That was a sense of justice to those communities in Uganda. But is that a sense of justice to us now? Given international laws have come recommending things around human rights, international laws have come recommending things around business. We can look at that's an open conversation. Mm-hmm. Is that sense of justice something that we should still uphold, or is this a sense of justice, or can we find a way of finding space for both of them? What is the African sense of justice? What's the Ugandan sense of justice? And then how does it fit into the court system that is largely a colonial something that we got? So that is a conversation that can always be had. But then, again, now coming to the monetization and the money aspect is, I do agree that the legal sector is largely monetized from courts and everything, but something that we can open ground and conversation for is legal aid, especially for people who cannot access the formal court system with the expenses, with the legal fees. Paupers, how can we represent paupers? How can we have more counsel on paupers? Is that something the government can look at legal aid more intentionally? Because right now that is something that is being provided by a few organizations, legal aids and what, yet we know that in the Ugandan economy, the day-to-day Ugandan, is that something that they can afford to pay? The legal fees currently, is that something they can afford to pay? And then can we have conversations about legal aid? Can we have lawyers designated to give a certain people legal aid who can't afford certain legal fees or who can't afford certain things? But also with courts, can we look at having some of the fees lowered? Why are they as high as they are? Is it because there are few courts in the country? You know, yes, they're the established courts, but then in how many divisions are they? I was having a conversation with someone and they were saying in West Nile there is a division of the High Court that is situated in Arua. That means every other case from West Nile that is supposed to be tried at the High Court has to go to the High Court of Arua. So that is expense, that is council's fees to drive, let's say from Adjumani to Arua, from Nebi to Arua, you know. Can we look at having, let's say, a district can have a division of the High Court doing the same thing, so that we bring this, we bring issues like case backlog, we bring issues that cause expenses in the legal, in accessing the justice that we're seeking for. Can we look at lowering them? And then also coming back to the issue of how our formal systems are structured. It could be my word against your word, and yet we need to go through the formal processes of evidence. And then what I can think of there is diversifying the system of our courts, because one of the things that we have in Uganda is a very formal justice system. You enter court and there are people dressed in suits and they're probably speaking English you don't know, and they're saying this rule of evidence and they're saying this. So can we, the formality that closes the legal system. Those are some of the things that can be addressed from early as law school. How do you communicate to clients? How do we address the thing in a way that it's inclusive to the people that we are serving? So that's one of the ways I see us addressing that whole situation.
Thank you so much. Buyinza, as they used to say in divinity, the dead are not dead. Discuss. Mob justice is justice. Discuss.
Well, thank you for that question, Ivan. First of all, I want to start by saying that I disagree when people call it mob justice, because there's no justice about it. Yeah, and I would love to call it mob action, other than mob justice.
Okay.
So, mob action, what is it? That's where I'm going to begin from. Yes. When we talk about mob action, basically we are talking about citizens, okay, taking on with a heated passion, yes, with a heated passion, the enforcement of their rights, if I should say, against a suspected person who has committed, they suspect to have committed an offense. So we have a bunch of citizens who are thinking this man is guilty, and as such, let's deal with him. Yes, as opposed to the formal justice system.
Actually, sometimes it's after the formal justice system. Someone has gone through it all and has been cleared by the courts of law, and they get killed by...
Exactly. That's also possible, yes. So we have a group of people dealing with someone who they suspect to have committed an offense, yes, and they take on the position of the judge, and they say you're guilty, and we should deal with you. Yeah.
And kindly, when you're submitting, if you can kindly link it to the issue of fair here.
Yes.
Because at most times, that's where it comes from. The dissatisfaction that however much there was a court system, but we failed. For us who are on ground, we saw it happening. We know the truth. We believe we know the truth. We have the facts with us. But either because of the power, we talked about influence, or the power to buy, someone was acquitted.
Yes, thank you, Ivan, for that guidance. I want to say that, first of all, the law may not appear to a layman as it appears to a lawyer or a judicial officer. The layman does not see the law as the judicial officer sees it, or a lawyer sees it.
Why that?
And why is that? It's because the judicial officer or lawyer is knowledgeable about the law, and the layman is ignorant about the law. Okay? So to the layman, if someone has been caught with a television, another person's television, this person has stolen the television. So he doesn't understand why you have to again take him to police, take him to court, spend over 4 or 5 months trying him, and yet the television is there. So the conclusion to the layman is that this person stole the television, we should deal with him, period. Now, when it comes to the judicial officer, the judicial officer has learned through the time they went through law school, yes, that a person will be presumed innocent until proved guilty. Okay? So, regardless of whether you caught him with a television, we are going to follow the procedures of the law to see that this person is treated fairly, and that if they committed the offense, they get the punishment they deserve. Okay? I want to just use an analogy, if you may permit me. There's a book I read by Justice, and this reminds me. May he so rest in peace. Justice Kanyehamba. Yes. That book is called The Evolution of Constitutional Law, Public Law and Government. And in that book he explains and says, if you want to see how interesting the law is, get 5 people, okay? And present one person to them, okay? At the same time, these are 5 people, put Ivan before them, and after take away Ivan. And so start to interview each one of them to give you a description of who Ivan is. You're going to find that they have different descriptions of the same person. They're also the same person, but they have different descriptions. Now, that's why we need to go through the entire process of submitting and evaluating evidence to ensure that actually this person is guilty, because it's possible that the person you're saying you saw may not be the person who was there. You get it? So the layman will not understand all these things, all these intricacies. So that's why we need the formal justice system. So getting back to your question, the issue of mob justice arises because of a number of reasons. But remarkably, as I said, it begins with the ignorance of the law. Okay? Because to the layperson, things should be handled as they see them. Do not explain to them until at evidence, at court, at presumption of innocence, and all those things. Okay. Yes, it begins with ignorance of the law. And then it cuts across, of course, there are other issues also that, for example, the lack of confidence in the formal justice system. That's also another issue. Yes, if people are being taken before courts of law, criminals, and within a week they are seeing them roaming around the streets, the layman will lose confidence in the formal justice system. And it could be that there was some corruption involved, but it could also be that the person was found innocent. Sure. Yes. So to the layman, he will simply regard it as corruption. The judicial system is corrupted, and so if we get someone who has committed an offense, let us deal with him, instead of sending them to court, and the court releases them. Yes.
Thank you so much. We have online audience, and a few comments are coming in. Thank you so much for keeping it U24 and keeping engaging here online. We have Judith Asimwe, Judith Atede, who is watching online. That's on YouTube. We have Chichoncho Agnes. Chichoncho Agnes is always on the show, and we're always glad to hear from you every Tuesday. Thank you for keeping it the checkpoint. And Chichoncho Agnes says, Marvin, what is there for someone who has been on remand for a very long time? Is that a fair hearing? You'll be touching on that question. Mbabazi Ruth is sending regards to Mr. Solomon Buyinza, saying that you are really representing them well. They say rock up to you. Well done. More comments coming in. Mwesugwa Joseph Onyango says, may I know how one can access Solomon? Solomon, they need to access you. That you are very eloquent with the law. So you let them know how they can be able to access you. Your services are already on demand. So you will pay for the advert because you're already going to be making money out of the checkpoint. But that's what we are here for, to make you understand the law in the most basic terms. We have Isaac Musede. Isaac Musede says, Fam, thank you for enlightening the globe. Bravo. Thank you so much, Isaac, for tuning in. And the whole team, kindly keep the comments coming in, and we shall be reading them out to make sure that we keep the engagement going. And it's the hashtag checkpoint here on U24 television. Marvin, if you can respond to the to that question, but also if you can enlighten us on how we can ensure a fair hearing, despite of all the challenges we have discussed up here.
Thank you, Ivan, for that question. Solomon, if I proceed with my submission, Solomon brings out a very important aspect in mob justice to do with ignorance of the law and also confidence in our court systems. I would like to just address that. There's a saying that goes that, I don't know if it's a saying, but justice not only has to be done, but has to be seen to be done. So the layman probably will not be in all these court meetings and hearings, but when the decision comes out, he must see that some justice has been done. It is for those reasons that some judges, when delivering their judgments, will cite certain reasons. For example, they will say, purposely for mob justice, they will say this practice has been rampant in Uganda, so we shall maybe sentence you to this and this many years to teach maybe a lesson to all those others. Then secondly, there's also a saying that goes that we had rather 99 people go to prison than one innocent man. That we had rather let go of 99 guilty people than let one innocent man go to jail. That is very important, because you see, the 99, in my view, the 99 probably have served some of their time, but this one innocent person represents the outlook of the entire justice system, both the justice and the legal system, and as well as the whole country, basically. So if one innocent man goes to prison for a crime that they have not committed, it probably shows that 99 other innocent people can equally go to prison for crimes that they have not committed. It is for these reasons that, as Solomon has stated, sometimes the judge or the lawyers will see the law in a different light compared to the layman, because they are at the back of their minds, such things are rotating. Then to answer a question by a viewer on remand. Now, some people honestly in Uganda have spent a long period of time on remand, but it shouldn't be this way.
If you can also make the person watching understand what being on remand means.
Being on remand means it depends on the stage at which you are. For example, if you are at magistrate court, then if you're on remand, it means they probably brought you in, they probably brought you to court for mention, and the state merely said that we are not done with investigations. Yeah, so probably go back. When we are done, we shall bring you back. When you go to high court, state can equally say the same thing. We are not ready to prosecute this person, though he's a suspect. But we don't have reliable evidence yet, so probably you may even take a plea of either you're guilty or you're not guilty, and they'll leave it at that and say we are not ready. So that's why closely tied to the right to a fair hearing, you find the right to apply for bail. It's not the right to bail that you can apply, it's the right to apply for bail. So it's not a given, it's not a guarantee that you will always get bail, but you can apply for bail. And this is the solution that is always available for someone who has spent a long period of time on remand. It reaches a certain point in time where the days you've spent on remand is supposed to be given what we call mandatory bail. The judge does not have the the discretion, or the, how do I say this, the right or the autonomy to say, no, he has to give you bail. Though he can set the conditions and say, okay, yes, I've given you bail, but maybe you'll hand over your, I don't know, maybe passport or land title or whatever. But they have to give you bail. So usually that is how it.
So what happens if you've spent, let's say, 15 years on remand, and after you're charged, maybe you're charged with, let's say, 10 years in prison? Oh, actually, you're charged with 10 years.
Yes.
When you've spent 15 already.
Yes. So what happens in those cases is that the years that you spent on remand are considered. And the moment they are considered, when the judge is sentencing you, they will probably come to the conclusion, yes, that this person should just be set free. He has served all these years on remand.
How about when you've served for 15 and you're charged for 10?
You've served for 15 and you're charged for 10, meaning if they are sentencing you for 10 and you've already served the 15, means the sentence, you've already served the sentence.
More than the sentence.
More than the sentence. And in those cases, ordinarily what happens, or what international law tells us, is you're supposed to be given compensation.
Okay.
Yes. I don't know if in Uganda people are actually compensated, but what I know is that you can bring not a criminal case, but a civil case of malicious prosecution, you know, or forced imprisonment, but not, these are civil cases. These are not criminal cases. So they are civil because you want some compensation in form of maybe money.
Okay.
Yeah. Then you had also given me a question on solutions to many of these problems.
If you can, in 30 seconds, because of time.
Yeah. So for me, one of the solutions to the problem we are facing right now is civic education, and people need to know that they have these rights. People need to know that they have the right to a fair hearing. People need to know what happens at court. People need to know what happens in prisons and at a police cell.
Thank you. Thank you so much. More feedback coming in. Martin Joko is watching and says, well done. Maskio. Who is Maskio? We don't have Maskio here.
That is a nickname for me.
You see. Okay, so they are referring to you by Maskio. Your village people are watching. Thank you so much for the support. I see so much support coming in for you. So they say you're speaking very good principles of the law. Kayaga Catherine says, Council Solomon, we are so proud the brilliant opinions you're holding. You have a very great audience that is following you up. I'll come to Biko just in about a minute. We have U24 cinema coming. Don't touch your remote. In a few minutes, the cinema will be starting. Biko, in about a minute, your last remark.
My last remark, I would add to what he was talking about in the sense of how can we ensure fair hearing takes place in Uganda. And so he did mention civic education, but largely to civic education is letting people know the law. A lot of times the law is there, but people don't know it.
Give bravo to the checkpoint for doing exactly that.
And yes, thank you to Checkpoint because they're doing an amazing job giving civic education to a lot of people. But also more people need to get exposed to the law. We can look at avenues like even translating these laws to local language in languages that a lot of people don't speak English, but a lot of people speak our local languages. So if they can read the law, if they can understand the law and know what the law means, what are the requirements, you know, having that understanding was just speaking out there and saying that if you go to the countries like US, somebody as young as somebody in primary or even lower class does know what their rights are. They know what to do with their rights. But then here, people are not aware of what their rights are. And so it's important that people are aware of what their rights are, and in case they're in situations where their rights are being violated, they know who to go to and where to go to. And a lot of people do not know that.
Thank you. Solomon, in just 1 minute.
Thank you so much, Ivan, for hosting us. This has been quite a wonderful session, and we are really grateful for the wonderful job that you are doing, because this is what we need. Yeah, this is what we need. If we are going to get anywhere, we need people to know the law, that even the layman understands the implications of the law. For example, there are many people who participate in mob justice, and they do not know that that's an offense. Yes, they don't know that that's an offense. So the more people get sensitized, the better we get in terms of respecting human rights and moving forward. Then there are a number of things that we could propose, yes, that the government can try to look into, yes, in terms of ensuring that there is growth in our country, yeah, and the respect of human rights. For example, the strengthening of the independence of the judiciary is very, very important.
Yes.
If we are going to see good delivery of justice, we need the strengthening of that pillar. Yeah, we need to also ensure that there is investment in such programs.
Yes.
And allow me advertise for you. Yes, we need the government to invest more in such programs.
The Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs.
Yes.
The Uganda Law Society.
Exactly, wherever they are watching from, we need investment in such programs.
Sure.
Yes. And many more things. But I'm also mindful that sometimes, Rome was not built in one day. Yeah.
Sure.
And so some things may take some time, but if we set our priorities right, nothing is unachievable. I'll just conclude with a quote from a book that Nelson Mandela wrote. Yes, it's called The Long Walk to Freedom. In that book, he says that a country's well-being is not measured by how it treats its highest citizens, but by how it treats its lowest citizens.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Buyinza. Thank you, Biko. Thank you, Nohereza, for being part of this discussion. I use your surnames intentionally. You do a proper representation of all Ugandans, and we identify with you as Ugandans when we're able to hear those names. It's been a great discussion, and certainly our fellow Ugandans, but to my audience, majorly the young people, certainly you now know which right side of the law you should be able to fall, and as far as for you to be able to get a fair hearing. But also for those who are in positions where certain decisions are made, you are a police officer and you're carrying out someone's case. Someone was sharing with me of recent of how some officers sold off a truck that they had confiscated from someone, and then certain people were arrested and cases were put on them to say they were the ones who stole the truck from the police, and it was really disturbing. So you're using your position in a wrong way. It is very bad. For the love of your country, for humanity, that is very wrong. And you can imagine it's the same person that is going to be working on your file. So you have no way to escape out of it. So it's really unfair. And as Ugandans, all of us need to be able to work together to make sure that we have that right to fair hearing. But also it gives the satisfaction that if I'm having a case against you and I win you, you're going to be satisfied going either to prison or wherever, or serving the punishment that you've been given because you know that justice was served. I have more feedback coming in online. This is a very great audience for me, and I do treasure you, the people that do watch us online every Tuesday. And we have Bazio Irene. Bazio Irene says, well done, Council Brenda. We are proud of you. The boldness and eloquence. Yes, you have your big ups right there. Haron says, Biku and your team, we are so proud of you. We have Mimi Laoko. Mimi Laoko says, thank you for representing women on the panel. Well done. We have KJK says, well done. Solomon Karunji Joel says, civic education, which you are talking about. Yeah, that's what exactly we're doing here. That this is a good initiative and that the generation of great thinkers is coming up. Okay. This is well in, okay, for me. Well in Solomon, well in Marvin, and Brenda. I think she does a wrap-up. It's the last comment I'm seeing here, and it's a good wrap-up. I won't be repeating that. Du24 Cinema is coming up. I don't know which movie is exactly going to be showing, but I can assure you it's going to be great for you. Just get your popcorn ready. You can get your cup of coffee or cup of tea. It's time for U24 Cinema. From me and the team, we say good night.